Welcome everyone! My name is Sander and I grew up not knowing about the existence of Final Fantasy until I was an adult. It never really got me when I read about it, but in the past years I slowly started to like it more. So, my plan is play through all the Final Fantasy games, starting with the first one. All my current knowledge comes from Final Fantasy XIV and 3, the 3D remake, which isn't a lot. We start off with creating the characters, the 4 Warriors of Light. I have no clue what they mean with full-width and half-width characters, but the names I selected all seem to be accepted. Sander the Warrior, EK the Monk, Pesty the Red Mage and Ravenous the White Mage. The world we currently live in is shrouded in darkness, no winds to be seen, a raging sea full of dangerous creatures and a wide range of decayed land. But when darkness comes, the light will rise in the forms of 4 warriors, the Warriors of Light. Each warrior equipped with their own crystal of light ready for adventure. We start off in the middle of the continent, in Castle Cornelia. The King of Cornelia is searching for the Warriors of Light, which happen to be us. But before we talk with him, I wandered around a bit, talking to everyone I could find. The problem right now is that Princess Sarah seems to be lost or captured, which is worrisome indeed. We spoke with the king. I do not know his real name, it just states the king. Very original name. As expected, he wants us to rescue his daughter, Sarah, captured by the knight Garland. We can find him in the Chaos Shrine, up north of Cornelia. Before we left the castle, I stumbled upon mystic doors, sealed away by a key held by the Elf King. Who knows where he is? While we should go north, first I wanted to go to the city part of Cornelia, making sure to be well equipped before the adventure that will be ahead of us with weapons, armor and different kinds of spells. For those who are completely new to Final Fantasy, every town or city should have something like this church to resurrect fallen party members. This is something I found out about 70% into the main story of Final Fantasy III, making my experience quite hardcore, I'd say. Finally, venturing north, we got our first battle. The best thing I noticed, apart from the great soundtrack, is how smooth everything feels. Everything is responding insanely quickly with no random animations of 5 seconds trying to be fancy and will be annoying about 10 battles into the game. The next battle gave us enough experience to level up, almost doubling our health pool of at least 3 of our heroes. I am sorry bestie, no big health pool for you today. At the northern part of this land, we found the Chaos Shrine, where I first casually looked around the dungeon for treasures. Finding 2 treasures on the left side of the dungeon and 2 closed doors with the same mystic seals as we encountered earlier. At this point we encountered a few different enemies. This freaky worm for example, 2 zombies and even a pack of 7 wolves. I really did not expect so many enemies in one battle to be honest. This might get rough later in the game. After defeating a bunch of enemies, gaining a few levels, I went back to Cornelia to heal up to face Garland. Going back to the Chaos Shrine, when searching for Garland, I even found a stack of 9 enemies. These are the packs where big magic AoE spells will become handy. Sadly, we do not have those yet, so we will have to defeat them one by one. Garland was hiding in the middle of Chaos Shrine, next to Sarah who seems to be unconscious. The reason he's doing this? He just wants to rule Cornelia, of course. Battling Garland made me realize something. We do not see the health of any enemy. I just hadn't realized this until now. But I think I like it this way. It didn't take long until Garland was defeated. In the end, he was no match for us. Sarah woke up and thanked us for saving her. Together we went back to Cornelia to make sure she got here safely. The king shows us his gratitude and tells us that we must restore the power of the crystals to defeat the darkness and restore the world. Well, we didn't sign up for that. Anyway, since we are the Warriors of Light, the king made sure the bridge was restored for us to venture forth. Those workers are insanely quick with restoring the bridge. You know, if you ever had trouble remembering what your current mission is, you can talk to this dancer in Cornelia. She seems to stalk you enough to know exactly what you're up to. Let's go north across the bridge and watch this beautiful scenery. Our quest has begun. The Warriors of Light suddenly had a great task ahead of them. Unknown the importance of the crystals they held close with them. Can we defeat the darkness and bring light into this world? Since going north was our mission, I went straight north into this cave. Matoya's cave. Upon entering, she immediately tells us that she's missing something. Her eye. Her crystal eye is lost. Did someone steal it from her, or did she just lose it nearby? Well, the first thing that came to mind was the crystal ball next to where we found Sarah in the Chaos Shrine. So, I went there to check, but it's just an ordinary black crystal with no link between Matoya and the crystal. Bummer. Since I had no clue where to else search for now, I went a bit more east, defeating different kinds of enemies to gather some experience and having trouble with this ogre. For those who are completely new to Final Fantasy or RPGs in general, this might be a decent time to introduce you to these classes I chose at the start of the game. The warrior is probably one of the most well-known classes in RPG-like games. He has a ginormous sword to defeat his enemies and knows no magic whatsoever. The monk seems to use nunchucks to deal many quick blows to his foes. You can call it a rogue with nunchucks. The red mage is something I haven't seen in any other RPG series, together with the black and white mage. The red mage seems to be a jack of all trades, master of none? At least, he uses a big weapon like the warrior but can cast most damaging spells and healing abilities from what I've seen thus far. The white mage is your most classic-like healer, which is why I will always recommend at least one of those or one alike in any Final Fantasy series. Since we couldn't go any further to the northeast part of this landmass, I went south for a bit and stumbled upon this town called Pravoka. A lovely person to speak to. I wonder what lore he could enrich me with. Well, okay. If you just tell me how I can help you instead of just screaming for help, I can maybe do something. Further into the town, there were at least some people who were willing to tell me the issue. But before we helped them, we first wanted some rest and a new spell for our white mage. Of course, I also wanted some black spells for our red mage and better equipment. But since we are broke as fuck, we couldn't afford anything. So we just went with a few weapons and armor without getting more spells. What a nice little fella. He and his two comrades will surely be no match for... Wait, I didn't sign up for this. 2 + 1 is certainly not 9. Anyway, we blasted them to the moon and got a free ship? You don't have to ask twice. Many people appeared in town. No need to fear the pirates anymore. They tell us about the elves living across the sea where their elf prince has fallen into a deep sleep and hasn't woken up yet. I suppose our goal is to find this place next. The pirates gave us enough gil to buy Blizzard, so we should be somewhat decent equipped to face anything ahead of us. Of course, since we have a ship now, we can sail across the seas. Maybe we can find the elves to see where we can help. Maybe we can retrieve that mystic key to open multiple sealed doors. That must be delayed for a moment. Also, we just got this ship from you. Go away, silly pirates. The reason for this interruption is that it seems we can explore just a bit more on this part of the land, wondering what other secrets we may find here. First, I followed the mountain to the west, which leads to a dead end. What about the northeast? It doesn't seem to go that far either. Just some wolves interrupting our adventure. Southeast through the mountains maybe? No luck either. All the areas we have checked do have docks to dock our boat. Good to know for the future. Since we explored for a bit, we got stacked with gil, so we were able to buy every piece of equipment we couldn't before. Now we can sail across the sea and search for the Elven Kingdom where people were talking about. You can also sail below the bridge. I didn't expect that to be an option, but I'm happy I tried. I sailed for a bit close to the mountains to see if there were any place we could dock our boat, but there were practically none at the side of the sea. Eventually, I found this one docking place. So, we set foot onto this new land and wandered around for a bit, reaching level 11 at this point, just before entering the new city, Elfheim. In Elfheim, the elves were also talking about the prince not waking up. We will see the prince soon, hopefully, but before we do, I checked for new weapons and spells. I noticed there were multiple shops in Elfheim, but since we had practically no gil left, I couldn't buy everything immediately. We will have to get back later on when we get rich. We found Link his gravestone. Even back in 1987, Square Enix knew what would happen to Link. Entering the castle to find more information about the prince, who is in deep sleep, we found our healer next to him, talking about Astos and his curse. He mentioned something about a concoction that could maybe wake me up, which will be our next mission. Astos is the Dark Elf King apparently. Does he want to rule Elfheim, or is there something bigger going on? In the castle, someone is talking about dwarves who live in a cavern on the western side of the Eldian Sea. I might have missed which sea the Eldian Sea is. Well, we have plenty of missions. Find a remedy to cure the prince, find out where the Eldian Sea is to meet the dwarves and keep an eye out for Matoya her crystal eye. There is a chance we will find the remedy near Astos, but that is something we will find out next time. Make sure to subscribe to not miss the whole Final Fantasy series. I will also recommend EK his Final Fantasy playthrough he just started. Make sure to take a look at his channel. See you all in the next one. Cheerio!